Welcome back to Female Founderhood Podcast. This is literally you eavesdropping on two female founders talking about our blood, sweat, and tears, literally, because that's actually what we do. We bleed and we work so hard to build our business and to raise our community, not only just our kids. Um, and and it's twice at least as hard as our male counterparts. So here with me today is the founder of Doqit. If I love the name, first of all, without even knowing what the product is, whatever that is like dot 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 it, my mind goes like, yeah, Doqit. So welcome to the podcast, Catherine Ann.
Hello, Rebecca. Thanks so much for having me, and thank you for complimenting our name. We love our brand as well. We love it because it's easy, it's memorable. Yeah,
Yeah.
just book it.
Did you even check if Bucket was available?
No. No, we didn't actually. I bet you it is available though. I bet you it is. Who knows? Who knows? But no, we didn't. Because we're going for a milder mannered audience. Although I know that within that audience there are some people that are saying that on a regular basis, especially when they can't find the piece of information or the document they're looking for, or they've missed a date and it's cost them money and they're stressed out their head, then obviously that's their go-to phrase. So maybe I'm wondering maybe if we should see if the domain's there, and if
Right?
they
And then you redirected it.
yeah,
You see?
straight to Doqit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Even like maybe fuck it, but with an E, like feck it. Because your accent, your
okay.
Scottish
So that's so. Do you ever watch Father Ted?
yeah.
Oh, so Father Ted. So you've got the old
Uh,
priest. What was his name? And he looks really messy haired, and he's always half drunk. And when he does kind of waken up from his sort of coma, he always just goes "Fuck." So not our
but
demographic.
we but probably but anyway, so tell the listeners, what does your product do?
So in a nutshell, helps you manage your day-to-day life admin. And
Mm.
why is that important? Because as busy working mums,
Mm-hmm.
really, um, we have a ton of paperwork that we have to do at home, and for ourselves, for our family, for our children. Um, and what's happening is that we're keeping it across to try and stay on top of it. We're keeping it across a chaotic mix of things like, I bet you do this, I do it. I was leaving myself yellow stickies on the dashboard of my car, sending myself emails. We've got apps, platforms, Dropbox, cloud storage. And you know what? We're still going back and saying, F it, I can't find anything. So, I mean, I was drowning. Stressed out my head. I think there was 3 years in the bounds. I paid my tax return late because I couldn't find my login details for Government Gateway. I mean, every year I thought, right, I'm going to be organised next year. This isn't going to happen again. I mean, it was £100 each time for a fine. It was like, oh my God, that was, 2 weeks food shopping. It was just crazy. Anyway, I couldn't find anything. And I thought, someone somewhere is going to solve this. Why not me? I mean, there's lots of stuff out there, productivity tools, helping people get organized. But this is like, and actually, the designer who we worked with on it, she said, do you know what? She said, this is like having a wee friend in your pocket. And I said,
Yeah.
you're right. It's like having a wee friend in your pocket that goes, don't forget, or hey, here it is, that just is that day to day stuff that as primarily working parents were going like that.
Absolutely.
So
And you
that's
know
what we do.
what?
So we stop you swearing, so it prevents hair loss
No,
and keeps
no,
your
no
language clean.
guarantee of stopping you swearing.
So there we go. Yeah.
No, but here's what I love about women entrepreneurs or pure entrepreneurs. You go out and solve problems. You don't start a business saying, right, let's make me $1 million. You know what I mean? So you start with, there's a problem in the world and I want to solve it. Um, and now you're solving it. My question is, did you always knew you were going to be an entrepreneur? What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Do you know, I never knew what I wanted to be growing up. I don't think I still don't know what I want to be when I'm growing up. And my God, I've got a few decades below my belt. I think I was always entrepreneurial in as much as I was always curious. I was
Mm.
always curious and I was always prepared to roll up my sleeves and try things. So even, and funnily enough, I said this on a podcast before, even as kids, so I'm one of three girls. I've got two younger sisters, Fiona and Joan. And when we were children, I used to make tickets and sell them to mum and dad. And then the three of us would perform in front of the fireplace and sing songs. So I guess the entrepreneurial journey started when I was about
So
7.
you were the Simon Cowell, essentially.
Uh, do you know
You're the
what?
producer, right?
I was the producer. I missed a trick there.
Yeah.
So yeah, always had ideas about things that we could be
How to
doing, how
monetize.
things could be better. Um, and had that bit of probably a bit of imposter syndrome and a bit scared, the what if. But with Doqit, I was just like all in. I just knew it was like it was almost in a weird way like a calling. And so it was never about earning money, because if anyone in the startup game knows that when you have a startup and you're an entrepreneur, yeah, see those things that you saw on the telly about all the startup and the entrepreneurs jumping in their Ferraris. No,
No,
no, it's about going through your bank book and going, cancel, 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 cancel.
no, no, no.
um,
That is what I
but
really want to talk about here, because as a tech founder, the the FOMO, the fear of missing out, is definitely when people see the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos of the world, they forget that even Facebook did not start monetizing until after 10 years.
I know, I know.
And even before they monetized, they had to go through series of lawsuits. And nobody in their right mind would, you know what, okay, 10 years of lawsuit, 10 years of this, 10 years of that. Okay, I'll sign up for that. Nobody,
I
right?
know.
Nobody in their right mind, knowing what we know, would sign up voluntarily. So that's
But
one.
it's really interesting that you say that, the knowing what you know. The biggest thing I think about the entrepreneurial and the startup journey is you
Yeah.
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you kind of come into it like a little paradise island going, hey, this is going to be great. And
Yeah.
I'm going to get investment, I'm going to get customers. And then it's like, oh, actually, it's not as simple as that. And again, I've quite often said, when we started off, I felt that I was back in the back of my dad's car going, are we nearly there yet? Are we nearly there yet? Are we nearly? And it's because things take, and I think that's why
Mm.
a lot of people, and I would never say the word fail because I don't believe in failure, I believe in learning. But I think that's why people drop off the journey, because they think
Yes.
it's just taking too long.
Yes, the
And
patience.
yeah, you've got to have patience and tenacity. But that not know, if you did know, you wonder, would you still do it? I mean, I would, because I've loved even the really
Because
difficult
you
times.
love Catherine Ann, because you
Doing
love the journey. You're
I
not
do,
in it.
I
You're
do.
not in it for the um the medal at the end. You're in it for the running. You enjoy the running bit,
Yeah.
not
It's kind
just.
of, yeah, yeah,
Don't
I
you
do. I
think we're like
really,
kind of masochistic?
totally. Totally. You know, there must be, because when all your friends are saying, hey, do you fancy doing this, and you're like that? No, actually, because I'm working on a social media post, or, and you don't feel bad that, or you don't feel FOMO that you're missing out on, the new pair of shoes, the new lipstick, or drinks with your friends, because it's like, no, actually, I'm loving what I'm doing. And there is something about,
I
about,
know, and when people, and I bet you get this a lot. People say to us, "Why don't you just get a normal job?"
I know. I know, I
Okay,
know.
tell me, when was the last time that you had a quote unquote normal job?
So I'm
Mm.
going to say it's probably over 20 years ago,
Wow.
because Chloe's 21, my daughter,
Hmm.
and Chloe has really complex additional needs.
Hmm.
So when Chloe was born, her dad and I separated quite quickly when Chloe was a baby. So I had to keep a roof over the head for myself and my child. And so then I thought, right, okay, I have to work freelance. I have to do a bit of consultancy, do things, and you know what? Again, loved it. So I guess that took me on the journey of, yeah,
Being your own
plates,
boss.
being my own boss, plate spinning and juggling.
Oh.
Yeah, and now, but I have had people say, Catherine Ann, you could earn a fortune, and I think, yeah, but I'd be bored. I don't want to. And actually, do you not love, Rebecca, that we're in control of our own destiny?
Yes. This
We
is the
can do
one
what we
thing.
want. So we will be successful if we want to be successful.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if you go in,
We can
and
choose. We can
yeah,
choose to just lie down and watch Netflix right now
yeah,
instead of doing this. Although I would do this anyway, even if it's not part of my job. The the one crucial word that I think is the one that people cannot buy off of us is flexibility.
yeah.
I think flexibility is the most expensive commodity. Flexibility and convenience. That is what people will pay premium for,
Mm, mm,
right?
mm.
How luxurious is it to be able to say, right, I'm gonna do my nails now.
But
You know?
but here's the reality. How often do we take time for ourselves?
Yes. But I have to say,
We
I've
can't go
gotten
on.
really good at it because here's the thing. Um, some of my inner circles will know this that I now take naps. That's my biggest luxury. I now take naps because I want to be able to work long hours. But
Hmm,
I
hmm.
know that I only have one body and I cannot ruin it. So I take naps, like 2 hour naps during the day.
That's not a nap. That's a sleep.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a siesta. So it's a proper sleep. So I have two proper mornings. There's my
Uh-huh.
6 a.m. and my 6 p.m.
Hmm.
So meaning that I'm productive, twice as productive. Um, and I have that 2 hour or even 3 hours if I want to push it, nap. And and therefore I can do so much more than the regular 9 to 5 because let's be honest, by 3 4 p.m. we are knackered,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I'm quite envious. So I'm not a good napper.
Mm,
But what I do is every night I have 8 hours sleep. That's
mm,
my thing. And I know
yes.
so I'm very strict with my routine. Although
Yeah.
sometimes, you can get caught up and it goes a bit later, but generally 10 o'clock, I'm like, right, I need to get to my bed because I know I'm going to be back
Mm,
up at 6. And that for me is my sort of coping mechanism, if you
mm.
like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No,
because
that's
then I
that's actually
know I'm
perfect.
energized and fueled for the
Yes.
for the day. I would love, but having a nap. I'm quite envious of people that can have a little disco nap
I
during the
cannot
day.
do I cannot do the power nap thing, like 20 minutes. What's that? It
Yeah.
takes me 20 minutes just to get my pajamas, like literally. So you're right when you said it's asleep, because when it's like 2 or 3 p.m., I would change into
Oh
my
wow.
jammies.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't just oh wow.
I change into my jammies. I kick my husband out of the room. I put eye mask, my
Uh-huh.
blinds. I create the environment that tells my body to reset, like a hard reset. Like I turn the button off, and I, even if I cannot have a deep sleep, I have to just keep my body still and my eyes shut, just to force myself. Uh, just like, our phone, just plug it in and recharge.
Mhm.
And then by the time I have to pick up the baby from nursery, I would wake up. I would still feel a bit groggy, but by the time I get on the wheels, I put my jeans on, get on the wheels, basically like a new morning, and then I do everything else. But it it only, I have to say, I only managed to crack that recently because I'm a bad night sleeper.
Ah,
So if
okay.
I go to bed at 10, I would wake up at 4 in the morning. And who wants to be awake at 4 in the morning? Who? Like,
The paper boy.
well, they're young.
Side
I'm
hustle.
too, I'm too old for this shit. So, but it feels so different. Even if I had an 8 hour, but then the wake up time is at 3 or 4 a.m. I don't know why the 3 or 4 a.m. is like, oh, I could have been asleep. It's so dark
Oh
outside. You
no,
know
it's
me.
I know.
It's
Oh, but
horrible.
good for you. I love that you do that, and I hope that anyone listening
But you
realizes
have
they shouldn't
options.
feel guilty. They shouldn't feel guilty.
Yes.
And actually, if you do feel tired, get into your jammies.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
brilliant.
why deny? Why deny yourself? Like, if you're hungry,
Yeah,
you eat. If
yeah.
you're tired, you sleep.
My friend Melanie, she hopefully she'll listen to this. She'll quite often say, "I'm going for a wee." Again, she has her own business. She's an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
She'll go and she'll say, and she again goes into bed.
Hmm?
Goes into bed. So it's not catching 40 winks on the sofa. It's a proper, I'm giving my mind and body the
Yeah.
nourishment it needs.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So we have to be intentional about what we need
Mm,
as a person and not follow. And this is what I love about entrepreneurship. Yes, we don't get salary. Yes, we have that feast and famine season, etc. Yes, we have, like, things going sideways, but we are in control.
and control.
If we are a night owl, why should we be in the office at 9 o'clock?
But you know, businesses should work that way. The 9 to 5 is so
Oh,
oh last century. I mean, people work differently, and there should be better ways of letting people
yeah.
work. And I know that's not possible in every single industry, but where it is possible,
But when
make
you
it
can, yeah.
possible. Make it possible.
Oh, absolutely. Because why create this is so my last 9 to 5 job was only recently in 2020. And it was always like, okay, so everybody has to be awake at the same time. Everybody has to send a report at the same time. But, why not optimize for every single person? Because if you if you have a set, it means you're actually capping your growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And people don't think about this, like, oh, but we want to be productive. It has to be 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. You know
I
what?
know. I know. I mean, I know some techs who they will work through the night because that's when their brain is more active, but they want to sleep during the day. And I think, great, work that way. If that's how, if that suits your body makeup, your body clock. It doesn't matter whether I think it's healthy or not. That's not my business. Are
Mhm.
you able to do your job really
Yeah.
well? Great.
Comfortably
Yeah,
and the definition of healthy again is different, because if we force everyone to only work 9 to 5, who's gonna who's gonna deliver babies in the middle of the night?
I know.
You know what I mean? So if you don't want the hospitals to shut down at 5,
Although, in fairness, they always work shifts.
the
Yeah,
same thing like me.
yeah,
So my company, so I own a marketing agency that serves both UK and US clients.
yeah,
So my night shift is for my US client, right? But I
yeah,
cannot
yeah.
force everybody in the UK time zone, oi, you have to stay up with me to serve our US client. No, it's not fair, you know? So I have shifts, and I'm always honest. Like I announce it on the chat group, the group chat in our companies, that okay, I'm away from computer, I'm napping now, so they know
Yeah.
that I'm not just going out and do my hair or something. Even if I do
Even,
that,
I was going
I,
to say,
I
even if you will, you're the boss.
no, but even if I do that, I tell them, because
Yeah,
I want them to know that one can have a life too, and I want them all to also be honest with me when they have to go out and do grocery
trust,
shopping. Yes,
trust, trust. It's like, don't pretend you have a hospital appointment. Don't pretend you have the dentist. If that's when you want to go and get your hair cut, that's okay. Are you
yes, and I
fulfilling your
and I want you to
role?
show me the before
Yeah,
and after picture, and I want
yeah.
to applaud you for your new fringe or what have you, because people say, work life balance. It doesn't mean that your life only starts at 5 o'clock,
Yeah, 100%.
right? So how do you, Catherine Ann? I hate the word juggle, but that's what we do. We are basically circus performers. Having a business, a child with super special needs, and a new husband, how do you find your sanity? And you mentioned it's so hard to find time for yourself. How did you crack it?
So how do you think? So going back to sleep. So sleep is my big thing. So making sure that I'm rested and boundaries. So and making sure that it's not about other people. The boundaries are about me.
Yeah.
So just a simple thing. We hadn't taken a holiday for a while, and we did a few weeks ago, and in order that I could be fully present, because we are not, we try to be, but we're not fully present. I took every app off my phone. I set my out of office, and I didn't. So I had my phone for my camera, um, and I didn't do anything digitally for the whole time we were on holiday. So that
Wow.
regained a lot of balance. Um, I'm going to be honest. I spent quite a lot of my life off kilter, where I know,
Mm.
where I just know the balance isn't great. Um, but I love it, so it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel off
And you don't
kilter.
feel the
Chloe's,
guilt.
no, Chloe's never known anything else other than a, a busy mum, but who's always there. So if Chloe wants to come in and sit here, Chloe will quite often, when she comes in from college, her head will pop into meetings and she'll say hi. And I think,
Yeah.
she's part of my life. So
Mhm.
and Gary's great. He's so supportive. So do you know what? We manage. We manage. So within that, and it is a juggle, but actually it's just how we roll. And I never
And
think about it like, oh, I'm so stressed with this. It's like, it's how we roll and we manage well as a family.
Mhm.
And so I said, during COVID, I
Mm.
think was really difficult for a lot of people. And we had to isolate for 15 months because Chloe's got no immunity.
Mm. Mm.
And I said, you know what the key thing, what we managed fine because we like each other. And I think that when love's a great thing, love's a wonderful thing,
Two
but you
different
can
things,
love
love and like.
somebody and not like them. Whereas we like each other, so we mooched along really well. I worked, Chloe did her homeschooling, Gary lay in the sun quite a lot, which when I kind of thought the house would be decorated. But anyway, he had a good tan. But we mooch. So how do you manage it?
Yeah, me.
Yeah,
Oh my god, my husband works from home. I work from home. So and it's so strange that, and we have three kids, um, 10, 10 years old, 7 years old, and 4 years old. So it's hectic, it's crazy, it is like a circus every day. But it's so strange. Like today, when I'm not working from home, my husband would be like, I miss you today. The house is so quiet. I think
yeah,
even though we're at each other's toes all the time, because it's a small house, but we become um, like the fixture of each other, that we would miss each other.
yeah. I
and
get that.
it is crazy because marriage, traditional marriage, was not supposed to be like this. We're supposed to be like 9 to 5, goodbye, and see you at dinner, and sleep, and that's it. But we've been so exposed to each other, so either you make it or you break it. So it's
Yeah.
so if you can manage being in a so close container, you basically smelling each other's farts and not
Oh, I
vomit.
don't.
But yeah, but one thing that not a lot of people know, we have our separate rooms, like the king and queen. That is how we keep each other sane, because he has a different sleeping habit. I obviously have different sleeping habit. So we sleep in different timing, in different temperature of the room. So we do that. Um,
Oh, well, I've heard a lot of couples do that, and it works really, really well.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought we would proudly say to our friends like, "Oh, we've had a sleep divorce since 2016, and we managed to have another child after." so
Yeah.
something must have happened.
I was going to say, just because you don't sleep in the same bed,
It doesn't mean
um,
you cannot
yeah,
procreate.
absolutely.
Speaking of
Um,
divorce, Catherine Ann, do you mind sharing to the listeners? Because here's the thing about female entrepreneurs: we're not meant to be the regular wives, are we? So tell me, if you don't mind, now that you've had a second husband who's super duper, well done, Gary. Knowing what you know now, if you could give some advice to a 20, 30-year old out there that is like going through their checklist, their SWOT analysis to find a good spouse, good in terms of fitting spouse
mhm.
for their entrepreneurial lifestyle, what would that be?
So, not someone who has the same vision as you. I think if you were working with someone who was as driven as you are, would be really hard.
Mm,
I mean, I was 50 when Gary and I met, so we met 10 years ago. And so the 50-year-old me was very different to the 30-year-old me, very
true,
different.
true.
Say that. But the thing I would say to anyone who's looking for or thinking about their perfect partner, what makes that person worthy of you?
Oh,
You know,
it's almost
because
like a client.
because people say, why am I good enough? It's like, why are they good enough to have you? What is special about them? And never, ever settle. If you have any doubt in your stomach, in your psyche,
Get out.
trust it. Just get out. Get out. Now, I had a kind of vision. I thought I would meet someone who was going to be the chairman of Ford Motor Company, the CEO. Gary's a carpenter. Do you know what? He's a carpenter. He works with his hands. He
Mm.
loves what he does, and he is very comfortable with who he is.
Mm.
He likes himself. He trusts himself. And I thought that was so attractive for me.
Mm.
So attractive. Um, Whereas, and you know, he's a deck shoes, jeans, t-shirt kind of guy, likes to surf. And I thought the very thought now of a kind of shirt. Don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of really brilliant male friends that are shirt and tie.
Yeah.
But I'm not married to them. They're not my life partner. You know, they're not the person I'm cuddling into at night.
Yeah.
It needs to be someone who you think, yeah,
This is my
we
pillow.
are the yin to each other's yang. And
Mm.
the other thing is, he really supports. He doesn't necessarily understand what I do, because sometimes he'll say, don't get it, don't get it, love it. But he will be if I'm working late, he'll just come up and he'll sit down, a glass of wine, or he'll sit down, a cup of tea, or he'll say, dinner's on, come down in 10 minutes.
Mm.
So you have to think, what is it you want? Do you want a life partner, or do you want somebody that you're going to butt heads with?
Yeah.
And I think that, and I do think at different life stages, yeah.
Yes.
So when I look back, and I've said that, we've said that we probably wouldn't have fitted so well, you know, in our 30s. But at the time we met, it was like, yeah. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that we were ready to settle down. It was that we'd
No.
enough
It's the
scars,
mindset.
bruises, and we'd been round the block quite a few times,
Mm. Mm.
that we
That is,
knew there
that
was
is,
never going to be any settling for
yeah.
anything.
No, I remember, like, even my husband would tell me, like, if he sees an old photo of me when I was, younger. It's like, oh, I would have loved to, you know, to meet you when you were like 21. And I said, yeah, physically, but you wouldn't like me
Oh,
when
I
I was
know.
21.
Yeah. I didn't even like me when I was 21. You know, I think, and that's another thing, as you get older, you get to know yourself better
Mhm.
and like yourself. And I think for a lot of people, not just women, men as well,
Mhm.
I think it's getting to like yourself and love
Yeah,
yourself is a bit of a
comfortable
journey.
in your own skin, which I think
Yeah.
Gary does really well.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, hats off to Gary. Jesus was a carpenter, and he was hot.
I don't say that. You'll be getting the God complex now. Look at me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He
That's
comes
another
in
thing.
tonight carrying a crucifix.
And don't forget to serve wine at weddings. Um,
Indeed.
but that's another thing. I think when you said maybe the drive is not something that is wrong to equally have, but probably it's the ego that if you see your spouse as a competition,
Yeah. Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's, yeah, because drive, I mean, two founders, two CEOs can marry each other.
Do you know what? You're right. It's the ego. That was not a good use of language. You're spot on. It is when two egos collide.
Yes, yes. Because it it could be, I remember I had a boyfriend back in uni, and we started dating when we were in high school. And I could see, because in uni you can finish earlier than your other classmates, right? And because I finished earlier than him, he already felt like, because he's in the same year as me, and he already felt like that he's losing, even though he's in completely different faculty, uh, and so on. And he's and he and I, we're equally smart in our own game. We're not even in the
Yeah.
same field, but he felt like, oh my god, you graduated already and I haven't. So that is the problem. So it's
Yeah. You're
not
right.
you know?
Yeah, it's not the drive 100% because we should all be driven for something. It is,
Yes.
it's egos.
Yes. Because at the same time, get this, we alpha females, if we see a man without a drive, eh,
Oh,
it's a
no, I
little
know.
bit like a limp
It's a
dick
bit,
situation.
it is, it is.
That is the
Yeah.
title of this podcast, limp dick situation. Catherine Ann, I did tell you we're gonna swear in this podcast.
You did. You're funny. It's been, I've just loved it. It's
Oh,
been great.
yes. So now my next question is about funding. It's about money, the cha-ching. So how did you, knowing that we are equally unreasonable people going into the deep end of entrepreneurship, how did you then say, right, I'm gonna build this tech and it's gonna require a lot of money and I have to find it. As a woman, we hate selling, right? Whatever it is.
I like selling. I'm a bit weird.
Okay, perfect. So tell me, how did you go about, okay, we need a lot of fun and I'm gonna go get it. How,
So,
tell me how it
I'm going
started.
to be honest. So raising funds is hard.
Mm,
And I think raising investment, regardless of your gender, is hard. You know,
okay.
it's tough because there's a lot of people out now. There money in the system. Yeah, there's a lot of money in the system. That doesn't mean it's easy to get. So again, part of the not knowing what I didn't know
Yeah, yeah.
was I wasn't sure when to go to get investment,
Mhm.
and I was probably a bit early starting to starting to ask for it.
Mm,
But the one thing that did was it helped me engage with people, with some fantastic investors. Now, they helped me shape my investment proposition. And whilst they're what I would call later investors, so people I'm going to go back to for our next round, they gave me the guidance and help around this is what you need to have because you need to have a whole load of information. You know, you need to be data room ready. Now, at the time, I was like, what's a data room? You know, people asked about your cap table. What's a cap table? There is a whole new language that, and you
yes.
know what? You need to learn. You need to
Mhm,
learn.
mhm,
We're both on the NatWest Accelerator. That's a great way.
mhm.
It's a great resource of learning. I mean, there's loads of places that you can learn. Being on an accelerator is a fantastic way to learn.
Yeah.
Um, but I reached out to people. So I had money that came in through people that knew me, that knew I was raising. So that was great. So I have got two female investors
Oh.
on my cap table. Both came as recommendations.
Mhm,
Um, we qualified for the Capital Pilot Boost Fund.
mhm.
So Capital Pilot is I don't know if you've come across them. If you haven't,
I
they're
have.
definitely so, Capital Pilot is an independent rating agency. So, you send them your deck and they rate your investability,
Mhm,
which is a really great tool because then you can see what your gaps are,
mhm,
things that you need to have. So, super helpful.
mhm.
We managed to leverage some money from there. And the other came from uh, an angel that I pitched to as part of a group. And the other one was an angel who, well, this is a good story. So, this was an angel I met through another female founder
Mhm,
a while back.
mhm.
And I asked him about the sorts of companies he invested in. And he said he was very cautious. And we spoke about a couple of companies we knew, and he said no, he wouldn't invest in these companies because he never thought he would get his money back.
Mm.
And I said, okay. I said, you're going to invest in me. And he said, let's see. And I said, yeah. So we built the relationship over a couple of years, and I would tell him where we were at, tell him what we were doing. And he's got a fantastic background, so a really good person to go to say, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of
Mm,
that?
mhm.
And he was very open. Not everyone's open to that. He was. And then one day he said, I'm ready to invest. And
Oh,
that was such a it was a great feeling because he's cautious,
Yeah. And
but
it's a
also,
validation.
and it was a validation of
Yeah.
where we were.
So
So
it's not
that's
even about the money per se, because the
it
money you can
was.
get it from anywhere,
It
right?
was about validation. Now he's a silent investor. He puts some money in, and I'll update all our investors. I do it different ways. So sometimes I do a video, sometimes I do a voice note, just to let them know how important they are to me, because without them we
Mhm.
wouldn't have a product.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think, particularly with angel money, this is money they could go on holiday, they could build a house extension.
Buy a
You know
boat.
what? They could buy a boat, they could buy lipsticks, but they chose to give it to me. They trusted me, and that is such it's a
Oh
big
yeah.
deal.
It
But
is
the
more
thing,
like a badge of honor. Like, oh
it
my
really
God,
is.
people
It's
trust me.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
remember when I got my grant from a European Development Fund, I was floored because in my mind, it's like, really? These people believe in little old me?
uh,
Right? Because again, anybody can build a business, quote unquote, and anybody can give you money. But the fact that I I pitched to them, this is my business plan, and they said yes.
hey,
It's like,
well done. That is no mean feat getting money from them. So
yeah.
well done.
And it's like, what? It was unbelievable in the true sense of the word, because nobody believed in me, and now not only somebody but a whole institution believed in me enough to throw money at me. And it's a grant, it's not even an investment, so it's like money down to
No,
just
I know.
my
I mean,
drain.
that's fantastic. Fantastic. Well
so
done.
so yeah, so now going back, I know that you like selling. I know that you did say that raising fund is hard no matter what gender. But why, in your observation and your experience, why women only get 1% of the venture capital?
Do you know? So
Tell me.
I think so. Do you know why? People buy from people,
Exactly.
and the people who have got the money are still primarily male. And I think it's because there's not enough women investing yet.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, so what they're doing is
It's a
they're
vicious
putting
cycle,
money
isn't it?
into, yeah, they're putting into people that look like them, sound like them, went to the same schools as them, and it's hard. Now, I would say there are some great and increasingly more, but not increasing enough, female friendly
Yeah.
uh,
VC.
angels and VCs out there. There's some really great ones, and they're trying to change the norm. I was speaking to a lady last night,
Mm-hmm.
an incredible lady who's looking to set up a VC fund
Mm-hmm.
to change the norm, to
Mm-hmm.
try and not just invest in more women in a particular space, the marine space, which is not yeah. So to invest in more women there, but actually to be a friendlier type of VC. So it's not just looking at the bang, 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 getting the return, but actually
Yeah.
how can we build this business?
Yes.
How can we make the business as sustainable as no, sustainable in every sense of the
Yes.
word
Yes.
and get a return?
Yeah. That's also
So
a part of the sustainability bit.
I mean, and everybody's looking for a return on their money, but I think that a lot of the VC funds, of course, they're looking for a return on their money, but what they're not looking at is as sometimes it can take a long time, as you said earlier, the 10 years before Facebook, you know, all of that, and sometimes that can get forgotten. But the other thing, I think the most frustrating thing is, and it's well documented, female businesses will have a better return.
No,
Female businesses are
female
more profitable.
investment, female CEO, even if they don't own the business. That's the thing. That's what my hypothesis is like. Just this one big word is the gender bias that people
Yeah.
have, because if it's pure meritocracy, we would be ruling the world, honestly. We would be elected, we would be selected, we would be funded.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be getting asked the silly questions of that men would never be
Yeah.
asked. And that's some it's very demeaning
Mm-hmm.
to women to be asked, questions that men would never be asked. And I quite like, so I saw there's a reel doing the rounds where it's male athletes being asked the questions
Yeah.
that female athletes are being
Oh, yeah.
asked. Now, I don't know how staged it is. Maybe it's not staged, but the looks in their faces makes me think that they're not staged, because they're kind of going,
Yeah.
"What's this?
To be
What's this
fair,
all
to
about?"
be fair, and it did occur to me, um, speaking of athletes, because that is very physical. One question that should be asked because you're a female athlete is, how do you do it while being in your cycle?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because that should be asked. Like, if Roger Federer is playing tennis while he's having a headache, for example, or having an injury, that would be part of the story. Oh, he had an ankle injury, boo hoo. Like, oh, Serena Williams played while being pregnant. Come on. I mean, that is
I
the
know.
that should
I
be
know.
the question you ask. Not like when you and I go to networking events. I'm going to one tonight. I wonder if anyone would ask me, so who's watching the kids? You know, right? That age
So
old question.
someone had written about that on LinkedIn earlier this week,
Oh yeah.
and it was uh, a lady who, I don't know her well, but I know her, and her husband, he doesn't work. She works.
Mm.
She's got a fantastic career,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he raises the children. And it was the one of our children's teachers had made a comment about it, and it was like, what? It's 2023, and it's not and the thing for me is, it should be whatever works for the family,
Oh, and
whatever.
also, Catherine Ann, isn't it
And
crazy that people would um, criticize young girls saying, oh, she has daddy issues? Whereas actually, well, if you don't want a thing called daddy issues, then the daddies have to be present. It's not a criticism to the girl. Daddy issues is a criticism to the parenting.
that's for another podcast, people.
Oh my god. And this is us sober. I cannot imagine what we're gonna be like with actual
Oh,
hard
I
drinks.
can't, I can't, I can't. But yeah, I mean, I think it's when people think things are out of balance, it's like, oh, please stop.
Mm.
Please stop. Men are equally as capable of running a house, taking care of children, as women are of being CEOs of anything,
I mean,
heads of anything.
if we
Come
have
on.
to trust them with running the country, why can't they run the household? I
I know.
mean,
I
that's
know.
why I'm so confused. Like, why do we let children run the country? Um, if we need anyone to run anything, it should be women, because the whole point that you created this technology, Doqit, is because we're the one running running the ship. So
But
why
you
would
know,
it be?
it helps. It helps men too. It's not just for. It's for I say busy people,
Oh, it's for
because there
humans.
are some, yeah, and there are some. It's interesting. I've spoken to some men who said, "Oh yeah, I actually do all the admin because, wait for it, my wife works. My wife does a career. My wife has a career, so they're doing the life laundry, if you like. So
Yeah.
there's some good balance out there, and some stuff that's really off kilter.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So now, the $1,000,000 question for Catherine Ann. Complete this sentence. When I'm king.
When I'm king, the world will be more equitable.
And organized?
More organised as well, but it will be more equitable
Yes.
across the board. Across the board, it doesn't need any explanation.
Yeah.
I would like to say more organised, but you know what? It's a bit too cheesy. I like equity. I like people to be more equitable
Yeah.
and fair.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is so beautiful because every time I ask female founder this question, it's never selfish. It's always about everybody. It's about the people. It's about the community. I love
Oh,
that
that's
about
good.
female leadership. I've never come across like when I'm king, everybody's got a car, everybody's got a yacht. Never. But
Everybody's going to the football.
but yeah.
Although the women's football are smashing, they are smashing it.
Oh,
That's another thing altogether.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
So,
one hundred
Ann,
percent.
Catherine Ann, oh my God, I can talk to you all day, all night. I will skip my nap just to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I think I will see you end of next month on the drinks.
I will see you on the 24th
Oh
at
my God.
our Female Founders Rise,
Yes. Oh
which
my
is
God.
going to be, I mean, that in itself is just going to be a
Oh yeah.
celebration of female
Us.
founders smashing it,
Yes.
just smashing
Yes.
it. And it's, have you been to any of the drinks before?
No.
Oh my goodness. It is such, it buzzes. You can feel because
Energy.
everyone supports each other, lifts each other up. How can I help you? You want to meet somebody? Come and meet this person.
Oh,
It's just, honestly,
that is my
it is
definition.
wonderful. In fact, we met each other through that community.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. And you know what? I can't wait to see you.
I cannot wait to
And
see you either. Oh my God. And
let's
we're
not
gonna hang.
record it. Let's
We're
not
gonna.
record it because there will be wine.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. If there's a CCTV of that night,
We're dead. We're dead.
there's nobody would invest in us. or the other way around.
We may.
Or the bros will be like, "Oh, these women are the shit. They can play ball." But anyway, thank you so much, Catherine. I'm
Thank you.
looking
I
forward to
love
seeing you in
it.
person. And listeners, if you have a female founders that would love to be part of the show, please just email me. It's Rebecca at upgradingwomen.com. See you in the next episode. Bye.